back up to.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Welcome to the Board of Commissioners meeting this morning. Appreciate everybody that's in the gallery, and everybody that's on virtual. And there'll be a public comment at the beginning of the meeting for agenda items only, and then there'll be another public comment at the end of the meeting that you can address the board. With that being said, I'll call the meeting in order this morning. The prayer will be by Commissioner Cook, pledge of allegiance by Commissioner Lutz, and roll call by Madam Clerk Fatty.
Dear Lord, thank you so much for this morning. We can come to you. God, we ask for your blessing. We ask for this meeting. Pray that all the decisions we make might be in the best interest of the citizens of Tuscola County. Thank you so much for another day. In your precious name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Thank you. Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Commissioner Goodchild.
Here.
Commissioner Barba.
Here.
Commissioner Vaughn.
Here.
Commissioner Lutz.
Here.
Commissioner Cook.
Here.
Well, you have a quorum. You may proceed.
Thank you. Adoption of the agenda. Does anybody else have anything they want to add to the agenda this morning? Not, we'll take a motion to adopt the agenda.
Mr. Chair, I move to adopt the agenda as presented.
So moved by Commissioner Cook, supported by Commissioner Goodchild to adopt the agenda as presented. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Adoption of the agenda has been passed. Action on previous meeting minutes.
Chair, I move to adopt the meeting minutes from June 26, 2025 regular meeting.
Support.
So moved by Commissioner Cook, supported by Commissioner Lutz, to move to adopt the meeting minutes from June 26, 2025 regular meeting. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Minutes have been passed. Time for a brief public comment. Somebody want to address the board before we get started with the meeting?
Make sure it's working.
I don't think we have speakers that, I don't know if that was working.
Ryan Robinson, Sheriff, Wells Township resident, taxpayer, concerned citizen, whatever title you want to give me. I'm coming up here today to talk about old business number 7, discussion on controller administrator appointment. I wasn't here on Monday. I apologize for that, so I didn't hear any of that discussion. I'm just getting up here today and urging the board not to exercise that appointment line today. I think there's a lot of people that are concerned there might be an appointment made. It's my understanding that someone has applied for the position of controller. I don't know that person individually, but so I'm not getting up here giving any sort of personal reference, but I think we owe it to the county to make sure that person gets interviewed and is considered for the position, because from what I've heard, he brings a lot of skills and talents, might be able to be beneficial for us. I'm not going to say anything bad about anyone in the front office. I think the biggest problem we have is there's a vacancy. They're all overworked. They're doing the work of, 5 people and they only have 4 in there. You can't have a basketball team with just 4 players. You need that 5th player. So I would urge the board not to act on that appointment word, because changing someone's title, I don't think is gonna solve our problems. I think we need an extra body. So that's all I had to say on that.
Anybody else out there, public comment before we get started with reading?
Chairman, I did
Yes.
hand out an email that I received from Mary Dreyer, and she asked that this be read at today's meeting. I don't know if this is now the appropriate time that you would like this to be read. If you would like to read it, if you'd like me to read it. It is regarding, I believe, the 911 dispatch millage.
I can read that.
Okay, thank you, Chairman.
From Mary Dryer. Okay, listen, I want this to be read out loud at the meeting from Mary Dryer. I'm writing this to the commissioners as a lifelong resident of Tuscola County and not as a representative of my profession. I personally feel you, in your capacity as commissioners, are playing Russian roulette with the lives of those in the county who elected you to represent them. You have been asked numerous times about supporting Central Dispatch Emergency 911 service, yet you continue to ignore the needs and the lives of the residents. For more than a year, you have ignored requests to support Central Dispatch and requests during the August 2024 election and sidestep over words of asking voters to support too many special notices. The issue was ignored again during the November 2024 election, when it could have been put on the ballot without additional cost. Central Dispatch's need is once again being ignored over worries about the cost of special election. The additional cost is because we're failure to act in a timely manner to ensure emergency dispatch service continues. Like many other county residents, I have used life-saving services dispatch provided. I've called 911 for ambulance services, called when had house fires, and had to call police when I was being threatened. Having a farm out dispatch services to another county is going to be a waste of time and in turn cost the life of the property of residents. There's only one day left to make a decision to ask voters to support such a dispatch. I urge you to put safety first, save the county residents. That was from Mary Dryer.
Thank you, Chairman.
You're welcome. Anybody else? Public comment? Here, none, the record shows we did have public comment from sheriff and from, well, I read Mary Dryer's. That's the board. With that there, we'll move on to consent agenda.
Chairman, make a motion to move the consent agenda minutes and the consent agenda items from the July 14th, 2025 Committee of the Whole meeting be adopted.
I'll support that.
Then move the consent agenda minutes and the consent agenda items from the July 14th, 25 Committee of the Whole meeting be adopted. That is a motion, and more discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion is not approved. Move on to new business. Water treatment cooling tower for the courthouse. Mike Miller, Bill, you're up.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
I'm asking that you approve this agreement with HOH Water Treatment. This is a water treatment for the cooling tower that cools the courthouse. What it is basically is a chemical treatment for the water. You may be surprised to learn that Carroll's water is very hard and the equipment will scale up very quickly. This prevents scale, and it also prevents Legionnaire's disease, which is kind of common in cooling towers. We had a company called Rochester Midland last year. That representative abruptly retired, I guess we were told, and I have not been able to get them to send me anybody out. So for about a year, we've gone without any treatment, and it is showing on our cooling tower. And so I contacted this company. They came out, did an analysis, told us what we were going to need. This contract, it's $800 per quarter, $3,200 for the year. It includes 4 visits where they'll check the pH of the water, do any adjustments. They'll make any repairs to the equipment. And it also includes all the chemicals, which just the chemicals themselves are about $1,500 for the year. So I am looking for you to approve that so we can get them on board and make sure our water gets treated.
Chairman, if I can ask a question before this motion is made?
Yeah.
On the motion, it is listed that the business name is Water Management, and it looks like it might be HOH Water Technology.
That's correct. It's
So
water
should that be corrected in the motion?
I would think that should be
Okay.
corrected, yeah.
Thank
So
you.
that we're-
I'm sorry, what was it then?
So you would want to, in that motion number 1 for the proposed motion, which is on page 2 at the top, remove water management and replace it with HOH water technology. And so it's $3,200 per year, which will be billed $800 per quarter.
Correct.
Open cooling water, cooling tower. Do we need to put for the courthouse in there?
You can, but that's the only thing it does is the courthouse, so.
So after.
At the
cooling tower.
end, I think, for the courthouse, just for clarity, for future?
So you putting that after cooling tower for
I-
the courthouse?
Yes, I think so. Thank you, commissioners, for that clarity.
Chairman, make a motion to move to approve the 1-year agreement with HOH Water Technology, price of $3,200 per year, billing quarterly $800 for an open cooling water cooling tower for the courthouse.
Support. Moved by Commissioner Root, support by Commissioner Cook, to move to approve a 1-year agreement with Water Management for the price of $3,200 per year, billed quarterly at $800 for an open cooling water cooling tower at the courthouse. That is the motion. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion is passed.
Thank you.
Change order for the PSB bill.
I know you're giving me a look, but this one isn't gonna cost us anything. We're actually getting some money back. So,
Oh,
in your packet, you have the change order. When we had issues with the generator and they determined that the sizing of the pipe from the consumers was too small, the county paid up front to have that pipe changed. But the contractor is reimbursing us for that. So there's $800 coming back for that. There's a $2,500 credit for signage that the county is going to take care of. I'm working on that myself right now. There was some additional money for additional lock in the basement. The electrician provided some work to the security contractor installing some raceways, so there was some charges for that. And then to get the system monitored for fire, there was a dialer that we needed, so there's a charge for that. But through the credits and charges, we're actually getting a credit back of $953. That would be coming back to the county. But we still need the board's approval to do this. So that's what I'm here to, is for you to approve this change order so we can get that taken care of.
May I ask a clarification again? I'm sorry. So the 953 is going to be a credit in that line item? We're not paying that?
No,
Is
we're
that-
not paying it. It's a credit.
Because I think, Shelley, if you look at that, I don't see it as that in the motion. Should we clarify that because to me, when I read the motion, it reads
owe
that we're gonna
$953.
owe $953.
No, it's a credit.
It is a credit. So I think that we need to adjust that. I think to make it easier for,
to put like in construction in the amount of a credit of $953 for supplies and installation, should we put that in front of the?
I believe that we should, and the amount.
I agree with that. And Mr. Miller, can you start sending me your requests so I can review them, please?
Can I what?
Start sending me your requests too when you send them to Angie so I can review them, please.
Yes.
Thank you.
Includes construction in the amount of a credit of $953 for supplies and installation. Do we need a line item in there?
I don't know the line item off the top of my head,
Okay.
but
Um, Should we add then just a statement, Shelley, at the end with all necessary budget amendments authorized?
We usually have almost all this with that in there anyway, just in case.
Well, I'm just, because we're gonna be, I don't know how he's giving us the 953 as a credit, if it will be,
So there's still gonna be a final, we still owe them money on the,
okay,
once all the punch list items are completed. So it's my assumption that 953 will come off of the
At the-
balance owed.
okay.
I don't believe they're cutting us a check.
Okay.
Since we still owe them.
Well, since we still have an outstanding
Yeah.
balance. Just trying to think how this will be easiest for the chief accountant and then tracking for audit next year if necessary.
It wouldn't hurt to have that information in there, that way we don't have to come back if anything is required.
So at the end, we could add with any necessary budget adjustments authorized.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Yeah.
Chairman, I just have a question for Director Miller.
Yeah.
Mike, I just caught you saying, heard you say that we'll still owe after this, so there's an account that has some accumulation. I'm just trying to determine if we have $1,000 we owe, why are they crediting us $200 off that, so to speak,
I'm so confused.
when we're going to end up paying?
So they're trying to clean everything up. They're trying to get all the punch list items done and trying to get everything, so we're done. Like the signage, the county's gonna take care of. I'm already working on that. And then, like I said, the gas part of it, we paid up front just to keep things moving. And they are going to reimburse us back for what we are paid up front to get it going.
I see.
So, and then what we're owing is that, there was a bond retainage, like 10% of every billing, the county retained until the project is completed. So we owe them that money when it's all done.
I see what you mean by,
Yeah.
with the bond retainer.
Yeah.
Have you determined what the cost overruns have been yet on this building?
I
Penny?
don't have that with me today. I couldn't tell you that off the top of my head.
Would you be able to have that in the future when at
Sure.
an appropriate time, just to?
Yeah, well,
Review the project.
actually, it may be in the change order itself. I'm not sure. It may not be in there.
I was thinking more of maybe, I don't know what, in a change order, it might be
Yeah.
odd, but more of, this was the planned amount
Yeah,
versus
we can definitely supply that to you.
expense accumulation to date.
We'll get it to you.
No further questions.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move to approve the change proposal request with Booms Construction of a credit amount of $953 for the supply and installation of electric lock set at the basement door 09. Additional work by the electrician is to assist the security contractor to install the surface-mounted raceway and install a fire alarm dialer with any necessary budget amendments as authorized.
I'll support that.
The move by Commissioner Lutz, support by Commissioner Cook, to move to approve the change proposal request with Boone Construction credit of $953 for supplies and installation of electrified lock set at basement door 09. Additional work by the electrician is to assist the security contractor to install surface mounting raceway and install fire alarm dialer. All necessary budget amendments authorized. There's a motion. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion is passed.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Recycling Committee resignation, Jody Fenn.
Thank you, Commissioners. We do have two, they're kind of related because they're the same person. So the first one is a resignation from the Recycling Committee for Terry Jones. He has thanked the county for allowing him to serve. He has been an asset to that, but he is no longer able to. So I'm just asking that we accept his resignation and for authorization to advertise for that vacancy. The second one is he's also resigning from the Council on Aging. And so just, again, to accept that resignation and approve for the advertising of that vacancy. So, and I'd just like to express our thanks to Mr. Jones for all of his service to the county.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I move effective June 30th, 2025 to receive and place on file resignation of Terry Jones from the Recycling Committee with appreciation of his service to Tuscola County. Also authorize Clerk Fetting to advertise for this vacancy.
Support.
Been moved by Commissioner Cook, supported by Commissioner Lutz, effective June 30th, 2025, to receive and place on file the resignation of Terry Jones from the Recycling Committee in appreciation of his service to Tuscola County. Also authorize Clerk Fetting to advertise for this vacancy. That is the motion. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion is passed.
And then number 4 as well, please.
Chair, I move effective June 30th, 2025 to receive and place on file the resignation of Terry Jones from the Council on Aging with appreciation of his service to Tuscola County. Also authorize Clerk Fetting to advertise for this vacancy.
Support.
Been moved by Commissioner Cook, supported by Commissioner Lutz, to effective June 30th, 2025, to receive and place on file the resignation of Terry Jones from the Council of Aging with the appreciation of his service to Tuscola County. Also authorized Clerk Fetting to advertise for this position. Any more discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion has passed.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you for that. That takes us through the new business. Move on to old business, annual comprehensive financial report presentation 2025, Madam Costa, Aaron Stevens. So with that, we'll be just placing that on file.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve and place on file the 2024 Tuscola County Annual Comprehensive Financial Report as presented.
Support.
Been moved by Commissioner Lutz, supported by Commissioner Cook, to move to approve and place on file the 2024 Tuscola County Annual Comprehensive Financial Report as presented. Any more discussion?
Chairman, I have a couple of questions
Yeah.
related to that report. There was recommendations on the, related to changing procedures, or is that being taken care of internally?
The multi-5-year plan suggestion?
Well, it was more or less, they were, I'll pull it out, I have to find it. It was their recommendations related to internal control, excuse me, internal controls. What would take me a moment to find it. But it was related, I caught it. Yeah, boy. You're not recognizing what I'm saying. In other words, they had recommendations in terms of internal controls. One was the sheriff's contingent, was it commissary fund?
The
or-
599 fund, yes.
There were
599
several-
fund, yes, yes, we are.
Okay, so those are action items that are being addressed. Okay, that's what I was curious. There's 4 or 5, or maybe more. No further questions.
Any more questions? You approved that?
I made the motion.
Who seconded it?
It was Commissioner Lutz and seconded by Commissioner Cook.
It was moved by Commissioner Lutz, seconded by Commissioner Cook, to move to approve and place on, oh, I already said it.
There you go.
Just need
So you gotta be all, but
you to
you
call
gotta
vote.
go backwards. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion has been approved. Boy, that's a hell of a way to get off script. Okay, back to number 2 on old business, courthouse law request. Go ahead.
Well, Chairman, there's a little hesitation as I speak. I was very concerned in the last meeting, and since then I have done a little bit of Googling. I hope you have as well. on what good trouble forward means and looking at the recent articles in Detroit paper and whatnot. There was a key phrase that this John Lewis had used over many years, apparently. This is a national-wide protest. It's sort of like No Kings movement. It's a stand against President Trump's administration, et cetera, et cetera. That's not a surprise. My concern in the beginning was that of all the years I've been here, and I've stated this previously, I've never seen a byline that would lead one who didn't understand or have Google to believe that it was inciting some kind of action that would, in today's world, if you just have to look nationally or statewide, you can understand what that means. They do Detroit News in terms of their position on this. We expect all participants to seek and de-escalate any potential confrontations with those who disagree with our values and act lawfully in the streets. And there's protests in Michigan planned in Upper, Lower, and Mid-Michigan. Swinging back to my concern, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, was the fact that, as I said in the past, we've never had taglines that would insinuate something that could be construed as not appropriate. And I know from the discussion across the board, I'm probably the only one that stood back and questioned that. The reason being, it's as if once you, creating a precedent, once it's approved, then it will always be approved. You approve once, whatever would be attached to any request could be an argument where you've done it before. All right. So that was my concern on Monday. It's still my concern. You don't have to be a Rhodes Scholar to figure out that escalating once you have your camel's nose in the tent, things before long the camel standing on inside. Now that's a word picture, but interesting as well. And speaking freely, the chief judge and Steve Anderson have approved the assembly. I was surprised, regardless of who it would have been. I keep saying that it wasn't restricted to during business hours. It wasn't restricted to the sidewalk versus the lawn for interference. I think one of the things that we do today, we're always afraid to question or confront any opposition or any or concern, but I do know Jeff Ryan's here. I mean, I'm sure this is going to be a peaceable protest, but looking across the span of this country, you just never know when the bus is going to show up. So that would be the coup de grace, all right? And certainly from a board's perspective, it wouldn't want to be part or parcel of that decision. On the other hand, none of us actually know the legality of refusing on what grounds you can refuse an assembly. That might be something we might want to look at, or the restrictions that would be applied to that. So moving forward, and although it hadn't been a motion yet, and I'm sure there will be, those were my thoughts and concerns, and from the Google research I have, I really wanted to know what that phrase meant, and I'll let you Google it. You'll see lots of explanations, but it's part and parcel to No Kings movement, and you know how that went. So this is across the U.S. once again. So I'm going to defer back to you, Chair. Those are my concerns. That's been my research. And certainly today I have mixed feelings on the whole scenario, and I would, especially in the locations that have been approved, hopefully nothing happens. So back to you, Chair.
Does anybody else look at them and say it's like Mr. Bradwater? We got to fill it on there.
I'd like to ask the sheriff a question. I don't want to put him on the spot, but what do you think of that? I mean, as far as it's going to be your guys that's going to be out there if there's trouble.
Right. My personal thought is I would caution anybody from trying to deny a request to use public grounds. First Amendment, freedom to assembly, taxpayers paid for the benches that are on those grounds, things like that. I would just caution, denying those requests. That's my personal thought. Obviously, you always have the concern if someone's going to show up and something's going to get bad. But you never know when that's going to happen anyway, and that's law enforcement to respond and deal with that. That's our problem. I wouldn't want to put ourselves in a position where we deny something that should be constitutionally protected.
Chairman, may I address that? I understand your position, and it's probably the legal position. But where does that position infringe upon the rights of other members of society? In other words, what are the tenets? Is it anyone from your point of view, or maybe the legal, I don't know, point of view that wants to assemble regardless of what they write on their request? When does it become a questionable, I'm not speaking of this one. When does it become a questionable request? Under your freedom, of assembly, where does it, what would have to be in a request that would raise your concern?
Well, all of the requests raise my concern because you never know what their intentions are. You're forced to do Google searches to see what it's all about and things like that. In this day and age, you never know when something's going to pop off. So any request brings concern to me. That's why we always, try to prepare for it. With the No Kings, we had plenty of law enforcement presence out there. We actually had some good conversations with everyone out there. Any request raises concerns, but to me, if you deny that request, in my mind, I could see where that might incite some people to be more frustrated than just trying to go out there and peaceably assemble.
So what you're saying, and I'm not debating anything you're saying, because I understand what you're saying. There's two sides to this in terms of when it becomes very complex is if there's a first instance, something happens, someone gets hurt. I'm not sure what the board's liability would be in terms of that position. I'm sure the whole county would be at stake at that point, related to allowing an activity that you should have known, you should have reasoned, how that goes. There's two sides to every story, but that is what, I'm a debater, that is what was my concern. It wasn't whether it was our people here or somebody else's, but where do we draw the line? Because the board, as just you said, it'd probably be not in the best interest to deny it, but every time, let's face it, unless it's, a prayer meeting or something like that, you have the potential that you just mentioned, and you're not, your department's not geared for mass, nor is the Carroll Police Department, nor is the state police post for any instance. Not that it would ever happen in Carroll, but I'm just hypothetically walking through this.
So I just want to mention, even the prayer gatherings poses problems in my mind. There are people out there that don't agree with Christian views and the way that traditionally this county is going to have prayer gatherings over there. You never know when a bus of people might come in and act upon a prayer gathering.
Yeah.
I think no matter what, any gathering has the potential for something bad to happen, especially when it's aired out there and advertised that it's going to happen. I think it's up to the board to decide what they're going to do, but I just expressed my concerns. I don't know that we'd want to go down that road where someone might be able to potentially get some sort of legal opinion that we're violating someone's rights. That's just.
And again, Chair, I'm not advocating you go down that road.
I know.
I'm advocating, and I think there's levels of intensity of protest movements, and I'll put the prayer in my book on the bottom, and I'll put something else.
Well,
here.
it's not a protest until it
It's,
becomes a protest. A gathering is not.
It is called a protest.
Well, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just reading, it's what it is. It is. what
I
it
meant
is.
a riot. If it switches to like riot situations, breaking laws, things like that.
Or interfering,
That's
going
right.
into the courthouse, I mean, you would.
And the last time when the No Kings were there, they stayed on the sidewalk. They didn't even come up to the courthouse lawn. I don't think that they're going to interfere with anybody coming and going for business. That's my personal opinion. I could be 100% wrong, but that's just my thought.
Well, again, right, I'm not arguing that at that level, that granular level. I'm more looking at it from a 50,000 foot level in terms of in the future. And you can't expect this to become any less. In the future, what are the guidelines? Well, apparently there are no guidelines at this point until there's an instance. I mean, I'm just making this up. Until there's an instance and someone, court or otherwise, will have a guideline in terms of restrictions or parameters of protest, whatever those type of assemblies are. That was the only reason for my discussion, is the fact that this is unprecedented in the sense of Tuscola County. It may have not been stated, maybe back in the day when the witches and that type of thing, maybe you weren't here then. Wasn't stated, but today there's more emboldenment and there's less patience. And so I'm defer to your comments, obviously, as extremely important and apropos. It's just looking into the future in terms of strategy, because this is not a one-off at all. This is beginning. You can see it across the nation.
It's definitely going to continue.
So, no further questions, right? Appreciate your thoughts.
Thanks,
No
Ryan.
further questions, sir.
Thanks, Ron.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the request from the Democratic Party to use the courthouse lawn on July 17, 2025 from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m.
I'll support that.
The move by Commissioner Loose, supported by Commissioner Cook, to move to approve the request of the Democratic Party to use courthouse lawn on July 17, 2025 from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion has been approved. Move on to number 3, dispatch chair purchase request. John Ramirez.
I was presented on Monday, didn't have the complete information. You should have it now in your packets for the chairs that we had requested with an up-to-date quote. So first of all, the reason why I'm requesting to go with Concept Seating is because they do offer the GSA account pricing, which is significantly cheaper if we were to just purchase them outright as a customer. I do want to say that the chairs that we currently have are Iron Horse, which you had the quote on those on Monday, which was over $20,000. We had also included a lower cost in the realm of $700, similar to the chairs that I had mentioned we had previously tried that only lasted 3 months. So I'm asking today that we can move forward with the purchase of the 3150 two-step stools, 2 of those, and 3 of the 3152 HR chairs. And the cost of them is in your packet. I believe it was $9,000. That was the one form apparently I didn't bring. But you can see when I said that it comes out of line 970 from dispatch, that is surcharge funds. And I still have a $126,428 balance in that account. So I did budget these chairs to be purchased. It was actually going to be last year. Now we moved it to this year.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the chair purchase from Concept Seating in the amount of $9,558.56 from line item 218-334-970-000 for the recommendation from John Ramirez, Dispatch Director.
Support.
The move by Commissioner Lutz, supported by Commissioner Cook, to move to approve the chair purchases from Concept Seating in the amount of $9,558.56 from line item 218-334-970-000 for the recommendations from John Ramirez, Dispatch Director. That was the motion. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion is passed.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Well, number 4, dispatch door replacement down in Wares.
Yes, sir. I don't really have much more to explain on the door, but you can refer back to that budget sheet, and it will come out of that exact same line item of 970, 218-334-970-000. And we, again, have the money in that account, and this was not budgeted. It was kind of a unforeseen repair that's needed, again, coming out of the surcharge money.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the dispatch door purchase from Dave's Glass LLC in the amount of $10,800 from line item 218-334-970-000 for a 3-foot by 7-foot ballistic dark bronze aluminum door and frame. Furnish UL 752 tested and rated level 3 aluminum wide steel door for narrow light using glass clad polycarbonate IGU low spall to include demo and disposal of existing materials, closer, continuous hinge, threshold and sweep, caulking of materials, and to use existing electrified panic and access controls.
I'll support that.
Go with this motion.
You want me to read it? You want me to read it again? I had to guess, you Mike. He helped that offer.
Support by Commissioner Luber. The move to approve the dispatch door purchase from Dave's Glass LLC in the amount of $10,800 from line item 218-334-970-000 for a 3-inch by 7-inch ballistic door, bronze aluminum door and frame. Furnish UL 752 tested and rated level 3 aluminum wide style door with narrow late using glass clad polycarbonate IGU low spall to include demo and disposal of existing materials, closer, continuous hinge threshold, sweep caulking of materials, and to use existing electrified panic and access controls. That is a motion and more discussion.
Chairman, I just have a comment.
Yeah.
John, appreciate it. It's a local business. It's Dave's Glass. I know it's not always possible, but I just noticed that right off the top. So appreciate it within the county.
I was certainly surprised he was able to help us with that style of entry door. So we're extremely happy to obviously keep business in the local area as well.
No further questions, sir.
Anybody else have any questions, comments? Are you okay with it, Mr. Lee? With that being said, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion has been approved. Okay, move on to number 5, 911 dispatch, discussion adoption of proposed ballot language, John Ramirez, dispatch director.
Yes, so gentlemen, we were tasked a few weeks ago to come together, that would be Erica, Shelley, and myself, and consult with legal to come up with approved ballot language should we decide to move forward with the millage. Before you, you will see the attorney-approved language. What we do not have in there for you today is the numbers. We're kind of working around vacations and some personal items with our schedules, but we do have some ideas that we would like to continue to talk about briefly. And we will have complete language with numbers by the 28th of this month. I can read the language if you'd like, or I believe it's in your packets.
Any more discussion on putting this on a special election or anything like that? You know, I mean, we get this letter from Mary Driver stuff. You know, and I try to understand that nobody has tried to downplay 911
I understand that,
or
sir.
the importance of 911 or putting Russian metal. Everything that I've always done for 911 was done with the guidance of Claire Lackmeyer at the time, fund imbalances When can it wait? When does it have to be done? That has been the basis of all my decisions on it, on all of them. You know, and that is the key to those questions for myself again too. Do we have to have a special election, or can just wait till the first election of 2026? You know, for the taxpayer. That's my only concern if it can or cannot. And all my decisions are based on information I get from the people that we hire over here. You know, because nobody, we want to do the right thing. But I wanted to start this discussion with the board. You know, if we want to continue to have a special election, or is this something that can be done without a special election? That's the discussion we have to have with the board.
Is that a suggestion for discussion?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know,
So my immediate, Chairman, my immediate thought was, I know the blanks are there. We've got one more meeting. I thought August 12th. I think it's one more meeting. Maybe there's another. August 12th would be fine or something like that. The first thought I had was that I remember there was a proposed amount, mills, and the first thing that people typically ask, well, what will that cost me per?
Yes.
Do you have I mean, this is all hypothetical at this point, but what would be a number that would come to your mind?
Sure. So if I may expound a little bit about how we got here to a millage, or proposed millage in this case, is that the world of 911, and I've said this time again, is very technology driven. I can have the best computers, the best systems, the best things money can buy, and I do out there. But the most important asset I have to make those things function and work are anyone from Tim Green, who's our IT associate, who does a phenomenal job out there for us, but as well as the 9 current dispatchers and deputy director that I have. If we solely want to keep people in the seat and to answer the phone and keep our head in the sands, and this, I certainly do not mean any disrespect by anything that I'm saying, we can continue to do what we do for a little while. Now, again, I've said that the revenue, and we have historical record of it, the revenue has been stagnant at best. We may see a growth of 1.5%, 2% one year, and then the next year we may see a 2 or a 3% decline. There are countless vendors that every year send me notices that they're going out of business, and I just received one last week. So that's concerning, because really with the State 911 Committee and the legislature, I can only gather so much. And we've discussed raising the surcharge versus a millage. And we recognize that if we raise the surcharge to the state maximum of $3, we would barely break even with our current staffing and our current situation.
You know,
Yes, sir.
again, I don't think there's any question that all of us, we have to have a millage.
Well,
The only question is looking at is, do we have to have a special millage? Do we have to put that? That's my only question. And we may have to have a special millage.
I understand that,
You know,
sir.
I agree
Yes, sir.
that we have to have a millage.
Chairman, could I go to interfere? You didn't answer the question. You had the all due respect, you had the justification. The question was, what would an average I'll rephrase it, an average taxpayer, based on the hypothetical number that was presented once before, be paying?
So, sorry, commissioners, we were discussing this morning, and I did write a potential ballot. So my suggestion, and I spoke to Director Ramirez about it, and I think he agrees, is that we need a little bit more time to finalize ballot and provide relative information documents. So my proposal is, following Jamie Nasidis's guidelines, is that we bring all of that back, and I know we're cutting it close, July 28th, for this further discussion and potential finalization. There's a document that I wasn't even aware of that we need until yesterday afternoon, so I shared that with Director Ramirez as soon as I found out. So we've come up with this language with Jamie's blessing. We are still working through some numbers and then the other documents that we need, because this is my first time working on a millage as well as I believe yours. So I did write a potential motion just proposing that we take it to the July 28th, I believe, so we can provide all the documents and an educated decision can be made based on that.
It is August 12th, right? That has to be.
Chairman, let me ask this one other time. I appreciate
I know.
that. I was looking, I'll even rephrase it again, John and Shelley. I'm looking for a range. This is questions that are being asked. A range that potentially that it would cost them an additional to the other 10 villages. What would they have to potentially pay? I never get the questions on justification.
Sure.
It's what is it going to cost me? I mean, what would I expect?
Sure.
And I thought you'd probably say, so much
Well,
household, some hypothetical
this
answer.
this
but-
is all extremely hypothetical.
Sure.
But Shelley and Eric and I do have a range that we've discussed. So we're waiting on numbers of a few things of the projects that this millage will fund, right? And when we get those numbers, we'll have a better idea. But, and keeping in mind, this goes off of your taxable value, not your SEV. So if you look at your tax bill, there will be a statement on there of taxable value. So in this meeting, I pulled up our GIS. I compared my property to Ms. Lutz's property to Ms. Dibble's property. And on the high end of what we were looking at, it was roughly $35 for Ms. Lutz's property and Ms. Dibble's property. In mine, it was upper towards $70.
Some additional, some range between 35 and 70, and I think
Yes,
that's.
and I think that's the number you're looking for.
Just
So
for
between,
talking points,
correct.
for anticipating, because this is out, I mean, it's controversy. I defer back to you, Chairman. I just wanted to get a range
Okay.
and pursue your questioning, because that's another question that needs to be answered.
So then I guess our next move is to, like I said, I'm not discounting at a special election. I don't want anybody to think I am. I just always worked on the numbers that were presented to me of when this has to be addressed. So we're gonna bring it back at the next meeting. Is that what you want, what I can do this?
At the 28th, and I did prepare a potential motion in case we needed one. I wasn't sure. I know you're providing the direction, but I didn't know if you wanted something in writing and what we're bringing back.
Now, all the information that you're getting and using, getting the citizen stuff, that all can still be used for, if we decide that we want to put on the first election in 26, we can still use all that information, or we have to do this all over again?
Potentially, if MCLs were to change or anything in this ballot language, we would potentially have to do it all over again. That would just have to be something we'd have to reaffirm with her.
Chairman, if I may,
Yeah.
the question I thought you were going for, and I think you did, was that the opportunity cost of going for this election, which has a cost to it, the 60,000 that we heard the other day, versus postponing till the next election in 26, right? Which is, when is it? Spring, or is it?
The next scheduled election that is guaranteed is August of 2026.
Okay. So the question is, and I know we've had this discussion, is, and we don't have any financials to even, you probably, I don't know where the financials are, but status, but can the county sustain itself at 11 between, if the special election, that's where you're going, I thought, didn't happen, and then it would be next August. The risk is the county would have to fund. But we don't know what our financial position is, and the current, whatever, Playette made that projection of deficit. So it's an interesting question that I don't know if anybody can answer that, could answer your question in terms of how close we are, would be. I don't know the answer, but it would either, it depends how much risk you want to take. I guess that's,
Because I understand too, if you wait till the 26th, or well, August of 26th, now you're into 27.
Correct.
Before you start seeing the money. And I understand that too. So there is that lapse there too. And I look at that too. That's my only concern, is we have to have a special, can we wait? If we have to have a special election, because we're running short, then I'm all for it. but the question is now, are we gonna have to have election? Absolutely. It's just the question I want to know is it gonna be this year for a special election, or is it gonna be in 26? That's what the board is discussing now. So, any direction to Mr. Ramirez and Shelley Lewis by the board would be, appreciated. What other people are thinking, I'm just strictly going by numbers of what I know is in the fund balance, what you've been using down, because I can do a little figure too, and how long you have, but, let's preface the board. I mean, are you looking to want to put this on a special election this year? Is that, that's the direction?
Chairman, I just, like you said, let's bring back the numbers and see where we're at. I'm all for the special election if we have to have it. But if we don't, I mean, we heard Monday from Arbela Township, he's not real happy about that, but if that's what we got to do, I'm all for it. I mean, let's get it done. If you can't make it to 27, which I don't think you can, I think you need a special election.
And if you don't think you can, then Commissioner, then we need to continue on with what you're doing. To get the stuff.
But I would like to see the numbers. I mean, I have to make an educated decision there that say, hey, 911 ain't gonna make it to 27, so,
We're running
short.
We're running out of time.
That's right, we're running out of time.
We gotta make a decision at our next meeting. And we're not gonna be able to make a decision without the information that you need to get from the citizens, you guys. Sure. So we gotta do that.
We will need the blanks filled in before you're able to adopt that. So in order to fully do that, that's part of the language that you'll be adopting. So we will need those blanks filled in when you make that decision.
So the question I have, do we have to make a motion to let them move forward, or they can just move forward on their own?
If I may, that was the question that we had when we
Yeah.
met. We're like, okay, we're here, we have the language, we have an idea of numbers. What are we to do now? So that's what we're really seeking today, is direction.
You gotta move forward on your own, of what you guys gotta get, for the numbers that Mr. Bidwell was asking for. And language, we gotta do it, because we gotta make a decision at that time.
Now, I know Ms. Lutz says she has some draft proposed motion to move forward.
I did. I'm not sure if it was necessary, but I wanted to, in light of the email I received from Jamie last night, I wanted to be prepared in case. Do you want to review
I
it?
think it would be beneficial to us to have a motion in place, only because the board speaks through its motions, and your last motion was that you were to make a decision today. And so I think that it would be helpful as we move forward in history, looking back in 10 years, that we had a motion saying why you didn't make a decision, and that we are placing it back on the July 31st Board of Commissioners meeting for a decision to be rendered, which, I think that we would want to put it on the committee of the whole first for discussion with action on the 31st. So only because you have that motion that says July 17th, I think it would be wise to do a motion again today, extending that deadline date to the 31st of July.
And Chairman, I concur with that, but from a financial perspective, whenever you expend funds, Jamie, whatever, you should have a motion that substantiates the action to spend those funds. So that's where I was coming from as I was thinking about it. So you definitely would want a motion for both causes, but the fund expenditures, top of my list.
So I can take a look at what you have, Shelley, if you want. Yeah, no, we don't want to do that.
Just on a side note, Chairman, do you have any idea if we're in budget in legal expenses? Okay.
That was the same thing I gave Mike Miller when he first got there about the change.
Okay. I understand.
Chairman, would it be okay if I had our county treasurer come out and speak for a moment?
Sure.
She might have some answers for us.
I came down. Okay. Ashley Bennett, County Treasurer. Because you were asking for, Commissioner Bardwell was asking, how much is this going to cost the millage? I was trying to break it down, I didn't know if he had numbers for you, but when John and I had spoke, or he had told me what the amount, it depends on what the millage is set at. But I know he had spoken about like a 0.35 millage. So for every $1,000 of your taxable value, it's going to cost you 35 cents. If that is helpful to put it in perspective. So a $100,000 home
$35.
at a taxable value, not an SEV, taxable, would cost you $35 for the year, roughly. So that was just to put it in perspective. But I know that there was also discussion, and I don't want to like misspeak or lead you in any way, but John and I have spoken about his budget and where his numbers were and what that looked like for 911. And I know that there's a talk about a special election, which tasks you guys with, is that a responsible thing to do to cost the county whatever that value is? I think somebody said roughly around 60,000 to do that. I was wondering if the alternative would be, if we didn't do a special election to save money, would it be something the board would be willing to appropriate funds to dispatch, knowing that we're going to be putting this on the regular election during the budget process? I do know that you guys appropriate a lot of funds to other departments. In looking at the budget, I can tell you that previous year's budgets were adjusted with adjusting entries because departments have overspent. And then this year, as a result of their overspending last year, they got set with the same budget amount.
Teamwork.
So as opposed to finding those departments that overspent previously, we gave them the same budget amount for their mistakes they made the year prior. I don't know if during the budget process, we could be more active in looking for those kinds of things and being able to prepare to have that threshold to offset 911. But it was just an idea.
Well, that's the decision that we're kind of thinking about right now. If they didn't have the money to go to the 27th or whenever this money comes in, is the board willing to step up to cover the shortfall, let's say? Or is the board confident that where they're at right now with fund balance, everything, that they'll be fine at 27? That's the decision that, so if we said, okay, we're gonna put this on 26th ballot, we're all saying at that point, if we need to, we may have to help 911. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
With that kind of attitude. I mean, that's what all the board people have to think.
Which I will say that
we need to.
the health insurance was a big issue for
Big deal.
24.
Big deal.
In like July of 24, our payment to Blue Cross increased by like $100,000. When I look at what we're paying Blue Cross right now, it's looking more like what 2023 rates were. So depending on how the budget was set with what figures, typically you increase from the year previous, right? Expenses typically don't go down. John's budget may end up being better than what we anticipated, but I believe we discovered it was 2023 rates that were used to set his health insurance rates for 25. So it's kind of difficult with the insurance being as toxic as it is of swinging one way or the other. But currently, I would say we have saved in health insurance this year. Is that fair for you to say same?
Well, it looks like we are based on the multiplier, but I did just have a meeting. Well, Erica and Angie had a meeting with Blue Cross Blue Shield Tuesday. And they're saying our 2024 rates and our usage, because we're self-funded, is actually higher again. But because of how the quarterly payments come in and it's based on self-funded, our multiplier has actually been running much lower than we were last year. So I think it's safe to say, and just afraid of what the next year could look like. So we are speaking to them and exploring options. So yes, I think you're on the right track as long as our next 2 quarter payments aren't horrendously high. So, and I won't know that until I get that information. So, because self-funded based on usage. So.
Sure, let me ask questions, Ron. Segue into health insurance. As I mentioned earlier, just before the meeting, I saw an email or whatever it was, it was 18.2% with the Blue Cross, and then they had all the rates for all the insurance companies that's being proposed in this comment period time. You may have had advance notice on that, but 18.2 compared to what it was a year ago, and the effect it had on the employees of the county in terms of cost sharing. I'm not sure where this is going, and we talk about what we might be saving on healthcare. This is your area. How does this, the 18.2, and I know we're self-funded, but the trend that's the governor's going right now is substantial double-digit increases. What's your anticipation?
Based on the meeting that we had, the overall trend of Blue Cross Blue Shield, you're correct, it's going up. I won't have any final numbers in that arena for another month or two, but they did mention exactly what you said, Commissioner Cardwell. Across the board, Blue Cross Blue Shield is going up.
But being proposed at the state level.
Proposed, yes. I did receive an email this morning. I haven't had an opportunity to look at regarding hard caps, et cetera. Our meeting did, discuss potentials for if we needed to make another or RFP for potential different coverage. So we're still in those beginning stages, but you're right. I mean, and like Ashley was just saying, our monthly stats look good right now, but I'm concerned based on the meeting because they said our 2024 usage was very high, and I hadn't anticipated that. I do not look at usage. I do not look at, I look at the big number, and I had thought it was looking like it was trending down. So my fear is our last 2 quarters here. That's my fear. So when I should have the number, the new number here shortly for what our next quarter will look like, and then we'll actually have a better idea. So.
Okay. I was just going by like July of last year, we were paying like $480-some thousand. This year it's 200 and some.
At this time, right? Yeah, you're correct. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's substantially different. And it's been lower all year when you look from month to month of January 24 to January 25. It's been.
Our multiplier last June was like 1.96, almost double what we had anticipated. And I believe June's multiplier, based on what I calculated, was like 1.13. So that's where I do see the number trending down based on usage.
So if you're out there listening to this as an employee, the first thing you're thinking about is what you said is, I'm still paying an excessively for my health care in co-payments. How does that impact me if it's cut in half? Why am I not seeing that? Or when will I see that? Giving either the impression that rates may go down for them, contributions. On the other hand, we're sitting here anticipating, probably not, depending on if the governor gets, or whoever decides that. I suspect they get what they want. It's going to go up again, which there's not a lot left. And there hasn't been any legislation on a stopgap raising the.
I actually got an email on that.
Did you hear something on that?
That's what I
Sorry, this was supposed to be not 911.
I was just saying.
Well, you brought it up.
I'm
So
sorry.
it's an extensive cost that when you talk about the election, another election, and what money's available, we're looking at money we don't even know we have and what we're going to be faced with in light of, this is repeatability, 1.9 has been projected, and she was right with the 500,000 carryover of last year, well, deficit, 500,000, 400 some thousand. I'm concerned until she gets on board again, which is going to be a conversation. Where are we? We
Who's
don't
she
know.
that you're talking about?
Clayette. It's the only one we're adding at this moment, but where are we? Because this is the 7th month. We're not going to go to 1.9 in December unless it's all on those transfers. I don't understand where we're going. So I know I've said this many times, but you brought this health insurance up, which is one of the major costs. We won't come back in again. And it concerns me because it impacts all the employees. I'm afraid if our health insurance, the co-pays become unreasonable in their minds. Not that there's alternatives. I don't know. Maybe it's going to have a negative impact on the county's employability. Oh, Chairman, I'm sorry I brought up the healthcare because it looks like
If I may, it's about 911, but you're welcome to stay, if I may. I'll hand these out. I just did a very quick, ran the current budget, and then made some very fast assumptions. I just made assumptions that the revenue and expenditures would remain the same. I understand that they won't, but for mathematical and quick math to give you something to go on. I did that showing if we, taking the end fund balance of 25, adding in the same revenue and expenditures for 2 years, beginning 2027, there would be $200,000 fund balance. And I have these for you again, but this is very rapid, non-official numbers, right? So if everything remains status quo and there's no change in revenue and there's no unexpected expenses, potentially 911 could survive until beginning of 2027. However, things happen, things come up. And this is without discussing with John any potential things that he's aware of. This is just, again, fast math. So I have these for you if you want to take them to review, and then Shelley and I will be meeting with John to go over anything else. And I need to do a further look back to say what's been the trend of the revenue and expenditures over the last few years, so that I can add in whatever percentage increase or decrease that has happened over the last few years. Well,
Jody,
you're welcome to check my math. Again, very brief numbers, and we will need to get more specifics for you.
Thank you. Thanks, sir.
That's right. Commissioners, I would, as we're considering this and we're discussing things with Jamie and expending funds currently right now, I think that it would also be a good question to ask her if you could, propose language to consider if you're considering this language, and as you make a decision, if it should be November of 25 or August of 26, you can adopt that in my world, an election world, you could adopt that now to be placed on the August 26th election.
That's
and we
kind of what I
can,
was asking there.
yeah, and we can solidify that. I would like, because I'd like Jamie to know in case there's anything she foresees that may need to be changed in that language to do that, because we'd have to have different years, obviously. So possibly maybe we could work on the numbers and have language presented to you that could go November 25 or presented that could go August 26, so that when you look at this at the end of the month, you could make a decision for either one, and then we could have it solidified on the ballot and we're ready to go either place. I don't know if it would be helpful to the budget for the dispatch, and I don't know if it would be possible if we do not have the 25 election, if what I had budgeted for an election can be moved to dispatch to help offset that, it would be maybe 50-ish thousand, because I have to run a little bit better numbers to give you that, but that may be an option that we could do as well. Instead of expending this 50,000 on a special election, can that be transferred into the dispatch budget to help get us through to that 27? And I don't know that 50,000 would be impactful or enough to help, and just as we're talking about these openly, I think it's something to consider. Treasurer?
So this is kind of where my thoughts were coming from. We should be coming into budget meetings, right? And start actively working on the budget for 26. My hope as a department head, an elected official, was that I would like to see like a budget meeting work group where the department heads, we get together and we discuss things like this, where, you know, as a board, you don't know that Jody could maybe alleviate some of the costs that we could then transfer to 911 to help save that department during this time while we're waiting. But I don't believe it's just her department that could give something up. I think that together we could work together and review our budgets and try and figure out how do we move forward in some troubling times, right? Ideally, it would be, I know like Huron County has done budget meetings where they trained them how to do some budgets, but you know, I've had some department heads come to me that don't understand how to even read their budget reports. And once we go over it and they get a better understanding, they feel more comfortable in what they're evaluating. I would love for us to work together and figure out how to move forward and cut some costs out of our budgets, some expenses that we can make your job easier, hopefully.
Yeah, that's what.
I mean,
So there, Andy.
I don't know.
Chairman,
Yeah.
and I can appreciate all that, and I really do. Here's my fear. If we don't do something and we wait till 26 and it fails, where's he at? That's the question I have. That's the fear I have. If it fails in 26 on just a regular election, where's 911 going to be at? That's where I would like to have the numbers saying, hey, okay, yeah, if it fails, he's going to be in trouble. We're going to have to come up with some money or whatever. That's the things that I don't know that it's in my mind.
You've got the August and he has the November election.
Right.
And I
If it
think
fails in
that,
August, it goes in November.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If we
Yeah.
don't do it in August, and if let's say we go in August and it fails, okay, we put it back in November. Okay. But if we wait until November and it fails, I'm afraid.
I would not suggest
Well-
waiting to November of 26.
That's what I'm saying.
No,
Yeah,
no.
that's what I'm
I
saying.
think-
Where would he be at?
Right, but I think that's part of your plan, because if we put it on in November 25 and it fails, the plan is gonna be to then place it probably in August 26, would be my assumption. I haven't been involved in the discussion, so that's just my assumption. But I think that that's always a valid question and point to consider as we're looking at placing any of our county millages on, because we're gonna have other matters that are
Right.
placed on the 26th ballot as well, that we have to consider and think about.
And I really appreciate that about getting together and try to save the county money. That's what we know. If we can all pull together that way, we're all in this together. We're all here for the taxpayers. You know, if we can do that, that's great. But I'm just afraid that if it don't pass, we're going to be in trouble.
Commissioner Lutz, you bring up a very valid point, and we go, this is like a circular argument or discussion in the sense that the worst case scenario is this, we start this, it's not where John's going to be, it's where the county's going to be.
Right.
And looking at this projection, this is based on, which is good. I'm glad Erica did this. 2 years of 25 projections going out to 26 and 27, most likely unrealistic. But at least it's a talking point. The fear is that we find ourselves insolvent, okay? We don't have the cash to put in to sustain it, sustain 9/11. I don't know that yet. None of us know. I keep arguing about the financials. Don't tell me about money until I see a financial. That should be our mantra. Because once that happens, if we don't have the ability to pay, it starts to disassemble. Sooner or later, the state's going to pull the funding. Is that not correct? And then it's going to be moved out to, I don't know, another county. As I said, the biggest issue is risk. Unless somebody has the financial data to show that, shore up that the county will be solvent enough to take that risk or not. But then as you raised, Commissioner Weeks, the risk is if it didn't pass, then what? Then what?
Yeah. Then we put our county in
Not
trouble.
only did we miss the opportunity cost in the last election, the one that Ed or John Arbila was here, you think we'll have somebody in talking about us then, like he did, wait till that happens.
Right.
Once it's taken away, that is a grassroots impact across Tuscola County, 911. That's my concern.
Mhm.
And until Clint comes in or someone starts getting us a sense of where we're at and where we're going, and I can't imagine doing this while you're doing budgeting. You gotta start somewhere, unless you do what Erica did. I'll just assume, I'll use 23, for instance. I'll use some numbers to get where we're at and hope for the best. And the health insurance, which Shelley hasn't really related the stopgap yet, which I'm really curious where that's going. The labor negotiations. You see the circular of this financially?
I do. I see it.
We're sort of being desperate in terms of needing information to make decisions.
So, Commissioner, what I'm hearing, I'm just trying to take, you're saying.
I defer back to you.
We need to, we need to be looking at.
Put it in your hand.
We need to be looking at the special election. Is that you, is that where you think you're?
Yeah,
That we
yeah.
need to do that?
We're
Is the
weighing,
is the
moving,
safest thing?
bring it back in with the special election, yes, because the 60,000 may be, don't coin this phrase, could be decimal dust compared to what we could be faced in the future of losing a service or maybe not. No one knows how much we could provide 911 to shore it up. I don't know that. That's why I deferred it back to you to solve this.
So let's move forward, I guess we'll move forward with what you guys have got planned anyway. With Jamie, get us the rest of the information. It's good what Clerk Frank said too, to see if this stuff can be used later or whatever, but just move forward towards,
But we'll need a motion to,
but we'll have that.
yeah.
I have, between what Shelley started, my question is which I do have a proposed sentence to add to have Jamie prepared language for November 2025 and August 2026 so that we can consider both at the next meeting. So this is draft and we can adjust as we need to. Move to approve proceeding to the next steps to complete proposed ballot language for Dispatch 911 following the legal guidelines and requirements provided by Jamie Nasidis of Braun Kendrick. Proposed ballot language is to be prepared for November 2025 and August 2026. Finalized ballot language and relative information and documents to be brought back to the next committee of the whole meeting on July 28, 2025 for further discussion and placed on the board meeting agenda for July 31st, 2025 for action. So we're just giving them authorization to move forward, prepare 2 languages for you to be able to review and consider, and then bring it back that last week on both of those meetings for discussion and action. Would you like anything else in there?
No, I believe that is quite sufficient.
Do you think
Thank
that's in board? Do you feel like we need anything else in that?
No, I think that's
That's good. I'll make that motion.
I'll support it.
been moved by Commissioner Lutz, supported by Commissioner Cook.
It's been moved and supported to approve proceeding to the next steps to complete proposed ballot language for Dispatch 911 following the legal guidelines and requirements provided by Jamie Nasidis of Braun Kendrick. Proposed ballot language is to be prepared for November 2025 and August 2026. Finalized ballot language and relative information and documents to be brought back to the next Committee of the Whole meeting on July 28th, 2025 for further discussion and placed on the board meeting agenda for July 31st, 2025 for action.
That is the motion and more discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, commissioners.
Okay, move on to number 6. Chief Accountant position discussion. We're about the same where it was before. We talked last time about Colette is offered to come back 1, 2 days a week to help bridge the gap until we put a chief accountant in place, which could be. I know I had a conversation with Mr. Bartlett, and he wanted to know if we could, there was an end date on that. That was proposed, and if we have applicants, I know that you've had a couple of applicants applying, you got a couple other ones that are looking at it or whatever, but that's where we're at on that. Is anybody got any more on that?
I did update the motion with with a potential end date.
Chairman, I have a couple thoughts.
Yeah.
We haven't been forget that pronoun, but anyway, our effectiveness has not been stellar in transitory type of responsibilities. In other words, whether it be cross-training or not, we have a litany. I can go back and look at cross-training, whether it was effective or not when Clayton was here. Apparently, looking at today, something went amiss. My concern, and I know we talked about the end date, that was basically, so we'd review it and Clay would have some kind of sense of where we're going, but I haven't talked to her, that even if you had a new chief accountant, unless we're very fortunate to get someone who has the skills and experience in the background, they're going to need the same assistance that Clayton would be providing. Will be a continuation to some point where they'd be comfortable. There's a transitory. That's what I'm really concerned about. If we could get someone to sit in the chair and take that responsibility and move forward in a way that we've never seen before, that's ideal. I don't know what the candidates look like who applied, but the continuity of a transition is so important, and in the sense that after 30 years, we found that our succession planning failed. Did it not? It failed. In various degrees. Sorry. There are some successes, but yet I think Clayton's going to have to, whenever this decision is made, I guess my point is, Chairman, is that I think that her involvement or somebody's involvement, unless they're a rapid learner, they've got a lot to catch up on. In the midst of a turnover and another year, and many of these topics we're talking about. I'll defer back to you, but that is a concern that I have related to Clayton's longevity, ability, stamina,
And one of the things was why Colette, agreed to come back, because like she made the comment, county government is changing so fast. Even if you get a great chief accountant here, there's things that need to be brought up to speed where she can bridge that gap with somebody that's coming in to get them up to speed on certain things, So hopefully, even if we brought somebody in there and for a little bit part-time, make sure we're bridging the gap, and when we got a chief accountant that is really up to speed, which helps the controller, administrative position, helps that whole office over there get back to do what they do best. But do we have a motion to, Andy, do we need a motion for this here?
For Clayton?
Yeah,
Yes, I would think so.
We have one.
okay.
You have, and Chairman, I think the ideal situation would be, and this is for board evaluation, is that what was it, September 19th? Some date was put out there.
Yes, September 19th.
If you look at our calendar, that's going to be here before you know it. And I think at that point, it would behoove all of us that Colette would give us her sense of what she needs to do or what we need to do to fully solidify this individual in the BSA, whatever the reporting process is. That's the value, which would give her an opportunity to perhaps stay on partially or make other recommendations. I mean, rather than just September 19th or whatever. if that makes sense, I mean, I was thinking that she doesn't know who's coming in, the comprehension. That would give us all a little more comfortable feeling in terms of how she would proceed to move on. Because she's the only individual we have. We have Erica, we have others, but this whole thing is being contingent upon a chief accountant.
And
With
well, the
different
chief accounting position that, once we made it, Clayette the control administrator, we never fulfilled that position. That's, you get our bad for that's a successor that you talk about, because that position is always important for succession. Because you got somebody that's coming in from that position that knows, and we didn't do it. We can't make that mistake again. We gotta have a chief accountant to work right side by side with the control administrator. Mike Holden had for years, he had that, could have done it without her. So this is the first step to getting that office stabilized and getting leadership back in there and getting the right people we need. But we need to find the right chief accountant. Hopefully Clayette can help with that.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve Clayette Zetmeister to be hired as a temporary part-time chief accountant for 1-2 days per week at the rate of $29.86 per hour. The start date on or around July 21st, 2025, with a project ending date on September 19th, 2025. The assessment may be concluded earlier or extended beyond the dates with the board approval.
Support. Been moved by Commissioner Lutz, supported by Commissioner Goodchild. Read that again, Will.
Yeah. Move to approve Clayette Zetmeister to be hired as a temporary part-time chief accountant for 1-2 days per week at the rate of $29.86 per hour with a start date on or around July 21st, 2025, with a project ending date of September 19th, 2025. This assignment may be concluded earlier or extended beyond the date with board approval.
There's a motion, any more discussion?
Just a question related to security and the discussion that was admitted last Monday. Will Clayette, and maybe we've had this, have access to county offsite? I mean, did you provide that in the past? Or how did that work?
Offsite, you said?
In terms of ability to go into BSNA. And yeah, she could be home, or is that only, I don't know what the protocol.
That
for
would be at the
county-
direction of her supervisor, which I guess would be you.
When she came back as interim chief accountant, she did have that access and
Okay.
she was provided a laptop. She does not have that now, and I do not believe that would be the intent. The intent would be for her to be on site those 1-2 days a week.
That's what I wanted to
Yes.
ask. Is there any protocols that she has to be on site? Because I probably would have been arguing against it.
Yeah.
Okay. No further questions.
Does that need to be clarified in the motion or?
I wouldn't think so.
It's an interesting question because there was a past precedent set, apparently from what in the past she had access.
All of us employees, well, not all of us, the majority of us can access it from home. It's just not standard, at least not in our department, and we've never included that in the motion before, so.
Is that full access? Is it partial?
BSNA, no, it's only what they need to be into and working in.
And how does she know?
Yes, correct.
Say that again?
Limited to their job function, but that's covered in the information systems policy.
Okay. No further questions here. I don't know the answer to that question. I don't have a recommendation.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion has been approved. Now we're gonna move on to the controller administrator appointment. Okay. Back to the last minute of the whole meeting, it was discussed. It was discussed to have the personnel meet, discuss rate, date, and contract for the control administrator position. Well, they're as the proposed controller administrator. I'll throw it to the board. Is anything changed on that? Y'all got sent the contract that was discussed that went over with Jamie Lucidis. I got that sent out.
So Chairman, are you looking for a decision today?
I'm looking for a decision.
Today, so that is a yes.
Yes.
May I address some questions?
Yeah, because, and the reason I'm looking for a decision, because if we're not gonna move forward there, keep on, then we need to get back out, we need to have our discussions with our headhunters or back out there online. We need to get moving in another direction. We're, like we said, we're here in July already, end of July. So if there's something that the board does not want to do, don't think that Erica Dibble is capable of doing this job, then the board has reservations, and we need to move forward and in a different direction. So we need to make a decision on that. And yes, Commissioner, go ahead with your comment.
Well, that was a great lead-in.
That's basically.
Great lead-in for segueing into some thought. Well, I know Sheriff Robinson expressed reservation, and I think we'll take individuals and names and whatnot out of it. And I'll just start with the first thing that I was a bit not concerned, but in terms of the contract, in terms of going from a chief accountant wages to a control administrator, that was quite a significant jump. And I don't have the numbers in front of me, but it had to be somewhere in the under 30. I'm going to say a chief accountant, I don't know the numbers. It's public knowledge, or it's foiable, but whatever that number is to the number that was in the contract. All right, I'm looking at the confidence of those in the county and the employees in our decisions. Okay. In light of that, I understand, and Shelley may have talked, that there's issues with steps and guarantees, but there's not, as I thought that through, Shelley, I thought maybe hypothetically, if you set a midpoint, you can always go back and review it. Now, here's the case I wanted to make that was part of a case somebody made to me, was that we don't have, regardless of the individual that's here today, we don't have, other than what is projected as finished audit, we don't have any sense of the ability to take us where we need to go financially. Because a controller administrator is you don't have to have a CPA to do it. You have to have a pretty good knowledge of finances. And as we all know, we have many challenges. You raise a good question. What's the timing? Is the timing when we get a chief accountant? Is that the timing? There obviously are questions related to the candidate that applied, and we know there's background issues. But there has to be some closure for those like Sheriff Robinson, who's probably wondering, what am I talking about? Of why we're not considering a different candidate, and most likely the one that applied. I'm concerned only because of the confidence of the employees and those who are aware of the situation related to moving forward, because they don't have the knowledge that some of the board does in terms of situations, I guess. I don't know how to describe that, because I don't even know to any great extent. So that's why I was asking if you wanted to make a decision today. I don't think postponing a decision is going to cause any harm. And I don't think, but I think there would be harm if we made a decision today, unless you're ready to make that decision and leave the employees, the elected, somewhat in a fog. What are you doing? We need the credibility as a board to make right decisions. Our decisions, whatever we make, have to have the results that everyone's looking for, which is where we're going. There's no light at the end of the tunnel. We don't know, we're all in the dark to some degree. That doesn't say that the current chief accountant doesn't have the abilities or perhaps wasn't able to exercise those abilities. Or that there's any candidates because the posting's down, right? Posting is down.
Yes, when we were separating the job descriptions.
So we're not garnering any other candidates. But this is, I'm expressing my thoughts to the board, whether you concur or not. It's just, timing is everything. And the impact is, you make the right decisions. Most of the time you make 55% of decisions are wrong, but once in a while you get a good one. And then you gain some confidence, but it sure is easy to lose it if you make a bad one. Not that any of these have to do with bad. It's not the individuals, it's the results that's needed at a rate that's almost nuclear, in a sense. Because in my mind, in finance, it's going to take a few months just to get back together, unless there's a huge crew in there. Notwithstanding some of the issues related to the payables, the timeliness, when checks are cut, the process in BSNA and elected sending over their bills, when they get entered. I mean, I've been through that process. It's a mystery to me how this works, and the fact that, I'll hurry up. We don't pay the late charges. We don't pay late charges, right? We don't pay when they charge us interest for late payments. Do we pay that? Does the county pay that? Anybody know?
I've seen on a few, yes, over the years, yeah, and I've seen some recently as well, yes.
We don't even know what that would amount to yet.
Correct.
That would be a key indicator. So Chairman, what I'm saying is, you're the chair. I'm expressing a cautionary, and mainly it's around the candidate that's applied, how you're going to convey that, the process or the knowledge that you have related to some of the things that didn't happen that they think should happen, so that there's some closure, before you move on.
I appreciate the sheriff, people coming up and voice his opinion, and I said right from the get-go, when we had this discussion, that I have full confidence that Erica Dibble will be a fine control administrator. We'll talk with Clay, the auditors, because I'm here all the time. I'm in this building. I'm watching everything. I'm seeing everything, and I appreciate people's concern, but I said it before, I think everybody is going to be amazed how good of a job that she's going to be able to do. This is just my opinion too. What gets you through, I think that she'll fight the critics real roughly, but my whole thing is what's best for the county. Okay, you look at that, you've got to get somebody in there to stabilize that. You got to get somebody in there to stabilize the administration. And I'm not just throwing Eric in there because we got to have somebody, because through this, since she's been here in February, through the audit, through all the stuff that she's gone through to help the auditors, we've had conversations with them too. And I've asked these questions. She done amazing things helping them. I think she is very qualified for the position. And my only thing is we need to stabilize this office. If we're not going to hire Erica Dibble to be our control administrator, then we need to move on. We need to make that decision. We need to move on to find out who we are going to hire. So that's why I said we need to know. If we're going to hire Erica Dibble, if she's something that we can't hire, then why we wait 2 weeks? Because that office will not be stabilized until that position is stabilized. And chief accountant has got on board to get everything together for everything to get stabilized though. So that's my only question. And that's why I'm calling for it to the board. It is strictly a board's decision. We hired, we listened to a lot of people last time we hired somebody, and the credentials are there. We're not blaming anybody for that. That's why we're in this position, because things just didn't work out. So that's just my position to the board is if the board does not want to hire Erica Dillow as our control administrator, then let's get our search going. But we need to make that decision today if we're going to. I think she's fully capable of doing the job. As far as the other applicant, again, people out there are privileged to know what we know about things. So I just want to leave that at that. But all things were looked at, you know, and that can be a discussion at a different time. But that's just my position. So I'm throwing out to the board, to Commissioner Lutz, to Cook, Commissioner Goodchild, you know, your feelings on it. But we need to to get that office solidified. And this is the first step. Either she's our candidate as we stand right now, we'll do a job, or she's not. We need to get that office for longevity and get it done.
Chairman, I'd just like to say that, you know, I think we got our candidate right here. I think with her and Clayette together, I think that she's more improving herself. She's got the ability, she's got the knowledge. I think she's here to make this move forward, and I think we need to make a decision today. That's my opinion.
Mr. Goodchild?
Yeah, going over the meeting minutes, we did offer the job to her in the last meeting minutes. And the list job listing was closed after that, or we directed that it be closed after that. And I think, you know, now that I'm privy to some information, I think Erica's the best option we have right now. And I think we could go ahead, move forward with that contingent upon, you know, we gotta get, I'm sure to make a motion on this, we have to have language about, I'm not sure exactly what we need to make a motion on this, but I'm okay with making a decision to move forward today with hiring Erica.
Erica's already hired.
As control administrator.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Well, I think Commissioner Cook has something to say.
Sorry.
I have a question, Commissioner Bardwell. If you stated that if we made this decision in 2 weeks, what would you want to see happen in 2 weeks to?
That's a good question, Commissioner.
That's why I'm asking it.
Well, I gave the answer.
No,
I gave the answer earlier, and that was, the concern I had was the fact that there's and I spent a little time explaining this, but maybe I'll bring it back, I'll reframe it. There's concern amongst the elected and appointed and they don't understand what you folks understand. Okay, they've heard you in the last board meeting. It was a solid whatever. I just heard Commissioner Goodchild say that we had closed the opportunity for anyone else to apply. I don't recall that. I think that might be something that's questionable, only in the sense that just because you don't have an ad doesn't mean that you don't have the ability to take on other candidates. That's been done in the past here. Other employees have been hired when they didn't have an ad and whatnot. So there's precedence. Needless to say, but to answer your question, I think this board is going to have to, apparently there's been some work with people in this audience that was concerned about the way that the board is handling a current candidate, regardless. So my recommendation, would be 2 weeks or whatever, was that they come to some type of closure other than the motion's made today, and there is no explanation of why, other than it's the best candidate, and they heard that Monday. So that's my concern. It has nothing to do with candidates. That's why I said remove the names. It has more with the process and consistency of the past. And I believe that the employees who have a low level of confidence, that may be a medium level of confidence or a high level of confidence. I really don't know. But I sense it by what's being said, that they need to be included in why. Now, I'll tell you why. The candidate that, as I remember, regardless, in terms of credentialing, has those types of credentials that would get your interest if you knew nothing else. 25 years or more, I don't know how many years, being a controller, being a finance, whatever, grant administration. All those words are there. Weren't they? I mean, if you took both resumes and looked at each other and didn't know anybody, what would you say? Well, you have a state rep? Regardless, if you knew nothing, that's what would happen. So to answer your question, that's my concern in terms of making sure that there's more of an understanding than just this, it ends today, this is what the decision was, and that they're going to, I suspect, Sheriff Robinson, and I'm not speaking for you, but you were very eloquent in your presentation in the sense that you expressed your concerns. Obviously, they might have been reserved. Or you're speaking on behalf of just yourself or many others, I don't know. But that is what was the basis of the hesitation. I'd rather see having been around a few years in organizations, if you really want to address a lot of issues here, and one is you want to bring our decision-making back into focus in terms of the benefit, not only of the county, but also the county employees who have to work under our authority or the policies and administration that we select.
Chair, if I could speak for you.
Yeah, refer back to the chair.
So how do we do that?
Well,
And
I don't have a whiteboard here to post a note, so otherwise I'd give you the options, but I'll give you the option that comes to first one in terms of strategy and outcomes is that, and this is not the strategy, this is not the recommendation, but it is just an option that the chair or whomever, personnel, whatever, meet with Ryan and other elected who may or may not be interested in understanding a little more of the decision-making. You have to convey that somehow.
Okay.
You can't do it by email. Don't do it by email. You want to do it by, this is what we're concerned about. You want to have a conversation. That would be the best.
Chair?
And that's why I said, this conference for later, these conversations need, we had in the decision-making. I'm going to stand by that. I think that all the electeds and department heads or whatever, and I've mentioned this before I'm going to be pleasantly surprised of what kind of control administrator she would be. And I think she, and we've had talked to them, you got to earn that trust you got to earn it from the elected, you got to earn it from the department heads. Chad didn't earn it overnight. It took time. You got to earn that trust. But I think she will. And there's conversations that can be had with any of the elected. I mean, reach out to any time in the decision making, but I wouldn't be advocating for this if I did not truly believe inside that this was the best decision for Tuscarora County. Now I prefer back to anybody else that wants to comment.
Chair, I don't see what 2 weeks is gonna do. And if they knew what we knew, what we can't bring out into this, because you just can't. I don't know where this is going. I mean, you're just gonna kick the can down the road 2 more weeks and what are you gonna tell them if you get them in a private meeting? There's things that you can't tell them, that you shouldn't tell them. So I don't know where this I just soon get this over with today and let's move on.
Chairman, that begs the question. I don't understand what you're saying, Commissioner Bruce.
Well, sure
You can't tell that. No, I don't. I don't understand.
You didn't get
what
the emails
can't
that
tell.
we got?
What you know that is so compelling, that is so legal, that you've been compelled or requested or whatever, that you can't relate it for fear of legal repercussion. I don't know what that is.
Okay.
And I think that's a broad statement. Now, you may know it, but not everybody has that knowledge, and that's
That's what I'm saying.
the whole issue. And Chair, I don't think that it's I don't think, I know that you said many times, the best candidate to do the job. I remember in the first interview with Erica that her success, she requested that Clay work with her. That's how she was going. Because you're coming off of HR, wherever you're coming from, it wasn't from the financial here in a great degree. I remember that. It's still the same today. Otherwise, we would have had an expenditure revenue. We would have had we would have seen the revenue account broken down in the 5 areas that it's that makes it up. But those are things that I see, not that you see. And I know you're on a rapid path here, or right, wrong, or indifferent. But it's not anything to do with the timing or the waiting 2 weeks in my mind. That's somebody else's concern. Mine is more of how this is related to others. Normally, this would be probably unnoticed, but there's a lot of things happening in this county at this board table that others may suspect are not appropriate. And I don't have a clue what it is, but I've heard from others, you included, that we have to rebuild our confidence in our elected and appointed and in the residents, just as our Beulah came in and pretty much pointed out. We've gone around this circle way too long, but the fact of the matter is, you've already explained, the majority of the board can make a decision. It just takes a motion. And then it's, you've made the decision, and what comes from that, whether I'm accurate or inaccurate is immaterial. It's just a concern I have.
Pleasure of the board.
If we made this, do you think it would be a better option to have a special meeting then, maybe next week, like sometime soon? We don't need to take time on it, but we can have discussions with department heads, or is this just? Because I'm trying to just figure out a solution to we need to get somebody hired, and we need. I do agree. Like, I hope that the department heads and concerned citizens have faith in the board in our decision making. And I guess you are right. You're correct, and we can go ahead and make a decision today too. But I mean, I have no problem trying to talk to department heads, anybody, have transparency in why I want to make this decision. I just don't know exactly what I can say to them.
Well, that's an interesting question, Commissioner, because apparently there's a lot you can't say, a lot that's been revealed, but I haven't talked to anybody that's revealed, other than the chair and I have talked, but anyone of the parties, I have not talked to any of the references or anyone at this stage. Another option would be if you did have another meeting, you invite, and I don't know how you're going to do this because you've already established you can't talk about anything. So you could invite the elected who are interested to express their concerns at an open meeting. I don't know if you'd want that or not. I don't know if that's even an option, but I understand what you're saying. Bottom line, you move forward, make the decision, or 2, you express a concern about what the elected and appointed are concerned about. And perhaps I'm wrong. Maybe the elected and appointed aren't concerned. Maybe it's just the sheriff. I don't know.
The last time that we had, we were making this decision, we allowed all the electeds got spoke to us, and not only did they all wanted Neil, our last controller, for one, but they made the comments that if we did not hire him, we didn't have a brain in our head. This was a no-brainer to everybody. no matter what decision we want to make, it didn't matter. It was a no-brainer to everybody. This is who we had to have. Here at now, do I respect her position? I respect the sergeant's position. I respect the judge's position. And I'd be happy to talk to any of them about it. But I try to get through. The only reason I'm pushing on this, that I honestly believe and truly believe it's the best interest of the company. If I did not, I would say, let's move on and let's get somebody in here that's the head of ours. But I've been around here enough since he's been here, through the audits, through the time, talked to Rick. That's the only reason I'm taking this position, because I honestly believe it's the best position for the county. And so it's up to the board if they want to put a motion together for today, they want to hold on for next week, 2 weeks from now. Whatever the board decides is what we'll do. Let the board decide which way you want to go. And I don't know if there's a motion prepared. If there is one prepared, somebody read it, we'll do it that way. If nobody wants to read it, doesn't get a second, we'll put it down the road to the next week, whatever the board wants to.
Is there a motion prepared?
I'll just have our standard blank one that we've used in the past. I had to manipulate it a little bit because we're handling this differently.
I have crafted something draft as well. If you want Shelley and I to take a minute and compare notes, we can do that.
Could we do that and take a break?
Let's take a break. We'll recess for 10 minutes. We'll put back here at about 10:12. You ready? Welcome back, everybody. We just took a short recess. Come back and continue on with the discussion on the school administrator. There's a motion being crafted to the board. And again, like I said, if somebody wants to read the motion.
Chairman, if I may, Ms. Lutz and I have worked on crafting this, and we both think it's important to be able to get a proposed contract to Ms. Dibble, so that she has time to review that and have her legal counsel review that if necessary. So this is what we've crafted, and please change as needed. Move to offer the controller administrator position to Erica Dibble with a proposed contract to be drafted and to be presented to the board for final approval. The proposed contract is to include the start date and the starting salary. Proposed contract to be placed on the July 28th, 2025 Committee of the Whole for discussion, with the matter to be decided at the July 31st, 2025 board meeting. So I think what we discussed is it would allow for that proposed contract to be finalized and any concerns addressed with a start date included. I know that there's some language out there, but I think this is giving you the opportunity to put that and solidify it, and then allow Ms. Dibble the opportunity to have time to review that, and then we can get that adopted.
Chairman, I'll make that motion.
I'll support it.
Moved by Commissioner Lutz, supported by Commissioner Cook. Would you read the motion one time more?
I'd be glad to. Thank you. It's been moved and supported to offer the controller administrator position to Erica Dibble with a proposed contract to be drafted and to be presented to the board for final approval. The proposed contract to include the start date and the starting salary. Proposed contract to be placed on the July 28th, 2025 Committee of the Whole meeting for discussion, with matter to be decided at the July 31st, 2025 board meeting.
Thank you. And can we have a roll call vote on that too, please?
Sure, I'd be glad to.
Okay, that is the motion. Any more discussion? Hearing none.
Commissioner Bardwell.
Well, isn't that an opportunity?
It is an opportunity. You're on the, that's where we're at on the motion.
Okay. I'm just looking at Max 7. I'm not looking at anybody's recommendations. And I'm restricted by saying yes or no, but no other commentary, correct? Under.
At this point, yes.
Just checking.
The vote has been called.
All right, yes.
Commissioner Lutz,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Goodchild,
Yes.
Commissioner Vaughn.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you for that, people.
Can I say anything yet?
You're the one making my meetings go long. Then you say, hey, your meeting's going too long.
I feel like Tom Young right now. That's his already-
Oh,
We miss him.
Back to you, Chair.
move on to correspondence and resolutions. The only one I want to really touch on is we had Mike Hoagland and Claire Beckman, so they written quite a thing. If you need to read it, it's quite extensive, but it's pretty helpful of where the county went and how they got to where they're at and how they're going. And she wanted to know if we could put something together and put that on file for fellow board people down the road or controller administrators to look back on different things to, to help with the history of Tuscaloosa County and stuff. So I don't know what we need to do that.
Motion to place on file and
Yeah.
include in
I'd like to
future.
put number 3, placed on file somehow, Joe, if we can do that. We put a motion, place that on file.
Mr. Chair, there is.
There is a
motion.
proposed motion underneath.
Oh, I
that.
haven't even. Let me get my glasses back.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve and place on file a letter from Clayette
Zeichmaster and Michael Hoagland on the overview of history and effectiveness of controller administrator as presented.
Support. So moved and supported by, moved by Mr. Commissioner Cook, supported by Commissioner Goodchild to place the, where is that?
Page 3, correspondence number 3.
Okay. Oh, they moved to approve and place on file the letter from Class Zachmeister and Michael Hoagland on the overview of history and the effectiveness of control administrator as presented. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And that will be placed on file.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to speak about number 1 there, on the correspondence.
Okay.
We had that meeting Monday at the Village of Millington, and I'm really happy that Stemco's gonna put a big addition on. We've saved about 40 jobs up there, and we're gonna add a couple more. So it's gonna be a big thing for Stemco products, because they're gonna be able to outreach some more products that they'll be able to offer. So I just want to say thank you to the Village of Millington's board up there that they went along with the tax abatement for Stemco for their new building. Back to you.
Chairman, I'll just mention Mid-State Health Network, since it's on the behavioral board, I've been waiting, and I've actually mentioned this in the past. I wondered why we hadn't received it, but I did bring it up in the last meeting. Tuscola County has not participated in this resolution as yet. They're still getting, according to Julie, getting some type of authorization. It seems like a no-brainer to me, based on if you've read it, in terms of what's going on in mental health and the PIPs and how the services are provided. It's going to be decentralized, and I'm not quite sure and pragmatically if it's good for the consumer or not, but at any rate, hopefully in the future, we'll have a Tuscola County resolution that supports us. This is something that's garnered a deal of attention across the state, if you're in the mental health world, related to how the services are provided, and especially from the local level versus non-local level service. I can't wrap my mind around how that would work, but needless to say, there's a lot behind that resolution, and I see more and more counties are jumping on board. I just want to make one comment on the Clayton and Mike Hoagland. Having known them both, I was very pleasantly surprised in the historical overview that they put together. Hard to believe that Mike Holder came out of his retirement. I commend him for that. I mean, he's got more history. He's forgot more than most people know about the county. So I'm glad it was moved into something that future commissioners can look at, especially when it gets to delinquent taxes. And many of these things were very controversial topics over the years. And these are just summaries of what, like this morning's discussion, would take place. These were not just off the cuff topics. So anyway, Chairman, back to you.
Okay. With that being said, we'll move on to Commissioner liaison reports. So we'll start with Commissioner Cook.
Nothing to share, sir.
Commissioner Goodchild.
I have nothing to report at this time.
Commissioner Bardwell.
Well, I just spoke about behavioral health, and I just looked up the Max 7th District. Huron County is supposed to head the meeting yesterday, which I didn't get invited. I doubt if any of you did either.
I mean, meetings go too long when they late. That's why.
Well, yeah, maybe they're busy. Maybe they're busy.
I got invited.
Oh.
Next time I pass that on, I'm sorry.
Anyway, that's the Max 7th. That's a very interesting meeting to be in. Usually John Block is involved, and you really get to hear Sanilac and really what's going on. As far as anything else, the worker comp board will meet in the fall. MAC finance meeting is on, not meeting at the moment. Shortly it will. In NACO, we had a Euro caucus meeting, but it's basically nothing to report that would be associated with our county or we're a lot more out west issues right now. So no further report.
Thank you. I have nothing to really report at the this time, so we'll move it on to Commissioner Lutz.
The Board of Health meets tomorrow. I know Commissioner Vaughn's already forgot about that. I'm just reminding him now. Yesterday, I went to TRICAP, which is where we do rehabilitations for people with problems with drug problems, and we got to go through there and do a tour, and I have to say that it's really a good place for it to be, and I was very happy that we met with Huron County in there, and it was quite a good experience. Back to you.
Thank you for that. Any other businesses necessary to come from the board? Do I have anything wrong with the
One more, one last thing, Sharon.
Oh.
You were looking for the stopgap legislation. Was there something,
You're talking about the hard cap?
I mean, the hard cap?
Yes. I actually just looked it back up because I moved on from that, so hold on, please. It's House Bill 6058. And according to Blue Cross Blue Shield and Brown, it seems to have stalled. So they have reached out, Eric, if this rings a bell in our meeting, they reached out to Deb to set up a call to discuss this House bill.
Deb.
They're talking about, so this House bill is stalled, is basically what's happened. It's sitting on someone's desk. So they're trying to get some action on it because the hard cap went up by 3%. Which is supposed to keep up with inflation. And as we all know, that did not happen last year. And it's definitely, looks like it's not going to happen again this year. So Brandon is just letting us know that they're trying to reach out to representatives to find out why this has stalled and to see what that's going to do for us. So that's what I think you were referring to is the hard cap. So
It was, I didn't get to read the whole article, but I lost track of it in the sense that if that doesn't go up, it goes on the back of the backs of those who are insured.
correct.
It definitely hit us last year and talked about potential increases. Let us know if anything develops. And I just caught it this morning by happen chance what was going on in Lansing.
I will do that. I know in 2024, they were challenged to increase it by an additional 7%. And that's that House bill and it has stalled. So that was our conversation with Brandon and Kelly and the new lady. I can't remember her name. I'm sorry. So they are trying to, from their office, actually see what they can do to get that House bill moving again. So.
Okay. Thank you for that. No further questions.
Okay, extended public comment. This time you can approach the board and ask the board questions if you want to.
Ashley Bennett, County Treasurer. I come before you because before the budget was finalized last year, I came before you to discuss my raise or potential of a raise. I was promised we weren't going to kick the can down the road, and I was told it would be decided before July 1st when we start summer tax collections. It's now July 17th. I still haven't had that meeting. And for perspective, I just did a journal entry where we ended up earning an additional $32,000 for the $2.50 fee for my office to collect summer taxes for the 9 townships that no other county in our area participates in. We are the only county in our region that collects summer taxes. I do not by statute have to do that. In addition to that $32,000, we bring in over $100,000 in admin fees. It was shared with me that until I can prove to the board how I'm going to justify paying for my pay raise, it wouldn't be discussed. But I also warned you that until we had this discussion, I wasn't going to collect those summer taxes. I feel that conversations had happened with me outside of a formal meeting, promising me that it was going to be addressed. And I did not pull the summer tax collection off of my tasks. So the county is still collecting for this year. But I am telling you that as we go into the budget cycle, you will not see that on my budget for 26. And I'm eager to have that conversation that I was promised back in December. In addition, to the summer tax collection are investments.
You know,
And I will share that the previous treasurer, you guys were used to earning $100,000 in interest. I had earned this county over $1 million in interest. And I'm still being told until I can justify my pay increase, we're not having that discussion. So I just want to make you guys aware of where I'm at. Thank you.
Chairman,
yes. I was gonna-
may I- Ashley, you're getting used to the podium today?
No, I wasn't planning on coming at all.
Certainly, I can reflect on some of what you're saying, but in the reality sense, I know Commissioner Lutz and I, not Lutz, Cook and I were going to meet at one point, or we started to meet, and I postponed it because I had no idea. It wasn't to justify it, was more or less where we're going to get it. And I wanted to make a financial statement. Well, I guess you can't make any more financial statements than I had since then. I think from the board's perspective, it needs to be addressed. She's absolutely right in terms of the earnings of interest and certainly the tax collection. I think that you wouldn't, in my mind, you don't have to justify that. Your initiative created that, something we didn't have before, and certainly from that aspect, I think that's justification. Now, this is a real reach for me, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, because the fact is that I'm always arguing about we don't have any money, and we're perhaps, but I would suggest that the board seriously consider in terms of the request here that this discussion takes place, and I would imagine that discussion be with HR and whoever wants to do the discussion, and it be presented to the board for approval.
And I think, actually, I know what you're saying, and I think what we did today was the first steps, once control administrator, getting that satisfied, was the first steps in getting to your situations. You know what I'm saying?
My issue was brought to you before you didn't have
I
the issues
understand
you
that,
have
but
today.
but then we haven't satisfied that.
You've pushed my issue down the road, and now you had a controller
talk.
issue, and now that took precedence over mine. I'm not going to argue about it. I just wanted to lay the facts out to you and remind you of what I was promised, which was that you weren't going to kick the can down the road. And I believe I even said, so is this something we're going to talk about like 6 months from now or right away? And Commissioner Cook, correct me if I'm wrong, you said we're going to have that discussion right away.
And I defer to Commissioner Bardwell. We had,
That text that you asked
I'm not gonna
about
ar-
was
I'm not gonna
a
argue.
month ago.
I'm not gonna argue.
Yeah,
We can
Okay.
have a meeting.
We probably should.
Okay.
Okay.
Later.
Chairman, when we say a meeting, is this a?
Finance committee, I would recommend,
So does that qualify for an open meeting or a closed meeting? I'm never quite sure.
probably an open meeting.
And again, you know, it should be a closed meeting.
Just check.
It should be a meeting with finance committee and people involved before it gets to the open meeting, but that's up to you guys, I guess. You know, that's what it should be. That way you can talk freely, you can throw different things back and forth. But I guess I'll leave that up to you guys. Hey, any more public comment?
Gentleman, John Ramirez, Columbia Township. I just want to kind of address something that you guys talked about earlier with the hiring practice or procedures of how we came about and the lack of trust from elected or appointed or just employees in general. And this is not an attack against anyone. Nothing that I'm saying is meant to be personal. But as I've grown in my roles from anywhere from the Air Force to the Secret Service to law enforcement to now your dispatch director, I've always had to remind myself to remain humble and accept criticism when it's warranted. So this is not criticism that I'm about to speak of. It's more of just a reminder that maybe some of the slack you've received because of the proceedings that you've taken to hire or not interview or interview, I don't know what that is because we have a set of principles, policies and procedures that the county governs us of how we conduct ourselves, how we conduct hiring and firing of employees, how we even get to this point. So I just want to reiterate, just for remembrance, that it doesn't appear any of the things that, and I forget his last name, but I believe it was Nicholas, that we spoke of hiring on Monday and was formed to the consent agenda, part-time employee, may have been a full-time employee for the sheriff's office, that he was required to give a physical drug screen, background and such. And whether it be for mosquito abatement to hire seasonal employees, we have those policies and procedures in place, but yet I don't know how many employees the county has, 250-ish, just witnessed you hire Clayette without any of those policies being followed. And again, this is, yeah, she's got a long history here, but when I left the sheriff's department, I still had to do those things to come work for you, still within the same county. So that's just an example. Even with the employment requests or applications of the controller administrator position, we had those candidates in here in front of the board in an open meeting. And here we are deciding who's going to be our next controller without even hearing of other candidates. And we just hired her. Now, I'm not disagreeing that she may or may not be the one for the position. That's not up for me. That's up for you gentlemen to decide. But this is just my point of view of why you may have lost the confidence in from some of your employees. And again, nothing personal. It's just an observation. So thank you, gentlemen.
Anybody else want to public comment? Let the record show that public comment was offered and we did have 2 participants. And with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I'll make that motion.
I'll support.
Moved by Commissioner Lee, supported by Commissioner Cook, to adjourn the committee meeting this morning. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned. Call order the statutory finance part of this meeting. And if we could get a roll call by Madam Clerk Fenny.
Thank you. Commissioner Goodchild,
Yes.
Commissioner Bardwell,
Yes.
Commissioner Vaughn,
Here.
Commissioner Lutz,
Here.
Commissioner Cook.
Here.
You have a quorum. You may proceed.
Can't say here when it's his turn.
Sorry. Doubled here.
Double here.
All right, action on the previous meeting minutes.
I make a motion on the action on previous minutes, statutory finance 26, January 25.
Support.
So moved by Commissioner Lee, supported by Commissioner Cook, to approve the statutory finance from 26th of June, 2025. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion is passed. Moving to new business. Review and approval of the finance report and checks.
Chair, I make the motion to review and approval of the finance report and check 7/17/25 finance docket.
Support.
Then moved by Commissioner Cook, supported by Commissioner Lutz, to review and approval of the finance report and checks 7/17/25 finance on docket. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Has been approved. Review and approval of the daily report and checks.
Mr. Chair, review and approve of the daily reports and checks 7/17/2025 daily docket.
Support that.
So moved by Commissioner Lutz, supported by Commissioner Cook, to review and approve of the daily report and checks 7/17/25 on the daily docket. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And that's been approved. We have no per diems this month, for this week. Nothing on old business. And with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn the statutory
Public
finance.
comment.
Oh, yeah, public comment.
I'm sorry. Public comment?
Here is the report that we discussed last time with the over budgeted items, including Commissioner Bardwell's request for totals, as well as a couple BSNA reports. I only provided you very quick
Thank you, ma'am.
information, the last page of the
Thank you,
report. Again, we're speaking reports we're modifying what reports that you'd like. I'm working on a template that we can create, like Mr. Bardwell suggested. So you will be receiving the same information every meeting, and you will be able to track changes. So we're in the process of reviewing that. The first one is the 3-page over budget line items. Now, again, we have not done a full budget sweep. I have not reached out to department heads to discuss, for example, their overtime line item perhaps is over budget, but their salary line item is under budget, and discuss a budget amendment, which I would then bring to the board. That hasn't happened yet, but this is just for your records. The third page, which at the top says page 204 of 204, is the overall general fund balance. Excuse me, I lied. Overall expenditures and revenues, the net of where we're at. The third one, that is page 1 of 1, is the general fund only. So I know that these are just very brief reports, but I wanted to give you something now as we build a template for the future.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions on that?
Thanks, Erica.
You're welcome.
Any more public comment for statutory finance? Hearing none, we will take a motion to adjourn statutory finance meeting today.
I'll make that motion.
Support. So moved by Commissioner, support by Commissioner Cook. To adjourn the statutory finance meeting for today. Thanks, everyone. See you in a couple weeks.